Well, you can see what a state of a day it is here now at Oakwell. It's chucking it down, and it's thoroughly miserable for all Norwich City fans. They've lost here 2-1, 2-0 down at half-time. Completely fair enough as well. They just weren't at it. And given everything that we'd heard before the game today, you just imagine, well, it's difficult. They had to be prepared and ready to come up against a side that were going to outwork them and were going to run around. And part of me thought that was the reason why Alec Neil had started with both Murphys, to inject that pace into the side. The other bit, though, we kind of got was they were very calm and relaxed about the prospect of coming up against a side that was going to work so hard, and you just hoped that they would actually be up for this. And you've got to be honest, they didn't really seem up for it in the first half. They got run ragged. They lost every battle pretty much on the pitch. And that was an aptitude thing, but as Alec Neil mentioned, he also got he got his team wrong for the first half, and it's not the first time he's done it. Regardless of his tactical shape and what he wants the side to do, he's picking the wrong side. And he made 2 changes, defensive changes at half time, and the whole 11 looked better because they had a better balance to it. Ultimately, therefore, it has to be the manager's fault that the first half as a collective weren't good enough. Now, I tweeted it before the game. Basically, Alec Neil's substitutes bench had 4 defensively minded players on it out of 7. His 11 on the pitch had 3 you'd call genuinely defensive minded players, and one of those was the goalkeeper. So I don't know how any of this wasn't infinitely predictable from the moment the team sheet was in, and it felt like it was, well, we're going to outscore you. The problem was they didn't have enough battle on the pitch to win the ball so they could do that, really. And this was a sorry miss in truth, because when you lose 5 games on the trot, you can't make up for that with one result. It takes weeks and weeks to build it back up, as good as a 5-0 win is. And ultimately, the problem now is that momentum has gone and Norwich are in a real hole again. I can't understand at the moment, having watched this today, how this is not significantly an issue with Alec Neil. That's the reality of it. He's picked the wrong side, and it's completely done for Norwich in this game. And they were much better in the second half, and they got their goal, and Nelson Oliveira was very good in the second half, and there were some really good performances in the second half. But if the reason they weren't very good in the first half is basically because the balance of the 11 wasn't very good, because that's what the manager chose, and he's since admitted it and apologised for it, I don't really know where you go from there. Where you really do go, of course, is Carrow Road, and Aston Villa visiting on Tuesday night ahead of Huddersfield's visit on Friday. Of course, Aston Villa will be managed by Steve Bruce, and I know the views of several fans in terms of Steve Bruce and whether he could have come back to Norwich. Whether that would have been on, who knows? But at the moment, Norwich are in a hole, and it's hard because the words weren't just said for effect before the Brentford game. We all kind of felt that the manager was in a position where it looked like it wasn't working and needed changing. You can't then change it off the back of 1 week and then go back again. We're literally on the back of this in a kind of desperate situation where Norwich need something that I'm not entirely convinced they can give against Villa on Tuesday. And while you all hope that you're proved wrong, sadly, a result like this doesn't do you any favours whatsoever. Just a point on Norwich's bench today as well, as I was speaking to Chris Gorham earlier, every one of them, apart from the goalkeeper, so all 6 outfield substitutes, full international regulars at the moment, or certainly would be, have been in the last year. Players are good enough. I'm joined by Chief Norwich City writer for the Eastern Daily Press, Paddy Davitt. Pad, we get 1 step forward, and then how many steps back have we just taken?
Yeah, well, the manager said 2. It feels a bit further than that as we stand here at the back of the stand. Scene of a crime, really. First 45 minutes. Honestly, I mean, so avoidable, and it's not about hindsight because the manager himself more or less pinpointed what Barnsley were going to bring to the party, which was energy, youth, legs, work rate, endeavour. And sadly, all those qualities Norwich failed to show in the first half. But he's culpable because he put them players on the pitch, so he's got a lot to answer for, and so the lads who went out, because the second half was total role reversal, and with a break of a ball here or there, the odd penalty shot, they might have got something, but it's ridiculous. You can't turn up, especially when you're a team who've won 1 game in 6, 7, 8. To come here and think you can turn it up for 45 minutes and do enough. We're back to the complacency, and one or two thinking they're better than they are, I think, on the pitch.
And in terms of Alec, I mean, Alec Neil is honest. He's always been praised for his honesty, but to admit again he's got the team wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, where these lessons that he should have learned by now, are they not?
Yeah, no, it's really maybe it's a window into his kind of state of mind at the minute. He's had to endure quite a lot on this run. He's talked openly. It's the worst spell he's ever been through as a manager. He's under constant pressure, questions about his future, backing from board, rah-rah. And, when you see that today, that lineup today, having actually identified the threat correctly, it's almost like he's done half of his job as a manager in terms of identifying what they were going to face, but then the other half, which would probably be far more important, is to nullify it. Completely no sense of that at all in the first half. And 2 changes at the breaks and admission he's got it wrong. And how more chances will he get to get it wrong? Because, again, fans have made it quite clear to him who travelled here today. Simply unacceptable. And, we're sat here not all that far from board directors. I wonder what they're making of it, because they can hear all that and they can see all that. So support your man is one thing, but if your man isn't supporting you, then it's inevitable, the outcome, I'm afraid.
He got a lot of stick, didn't he, when he came off at half time, and the players did as well. It was a little bit more mixed in the second half, I guess, because of the response that the players gave. There were some willing to applaud.
Yeah, quite right on the 45 showing, because that was far more what you would expect from a Norwich team put together at no small cost, should I say, in this division. And as I say, I asked him about the fan reaction, and it was some colourful language used, but he basically told those players at half time, you deserve everything you're getting from these fans, because they weren't happy, it's safe to say. But again, we've been here before. You would think after Brentford, however good or however woeful Brentford were, you've won 5-0. If that doesn't springboard you onto a more positive performance results, then you have to question there's something badly wrong. There's something badly wrong with management, with players. To be stood here again dissecting the same issues, it sort of stinks really. And now he's got 2 games probably at home, where if they throw in what they threw in the first 45 minutes, I think the home fans will deliver their own verdict.
I got to speak to 2 Norwich fans dressed as Teletubbies before the game. I think that was one of my highlights. That was a particular highlight. Norwich are now, excuse me if I've got this wrong, but I think they're 12 points off Brighton, I think, and 13 off Newcastle. I think that's what I've got right in my head. Yeah. That's the top 2. I mean, that's a bigger gap than when Alec Neil came in, I think, 2 years ago. Yeah. Are we writing off the top 2 yet? Because and Reading as well are getting away too. I think they're 7 or 9 points clear in third.
Right. Well, that's not good then, is it? I mean, you can't have those debates right here, right now, because they're not showing anything to suggest they will get anywhere near that. So, to me, that's almost an irrelevance now. Where can they break the top 2? Can they even break this beginning? Can they break the top 6 again? Because, as I say, that inconsistency, chronic inconsistency in terms of on the pitch, in terms of off the pitch, with how the manager's conducting himself and his tactics and selections, that isn't a team who are going to do anything this season, I'm afraid. They're just going to list badly, and it's going to tail away. And as you say, the parallels are there with the situation he inherited, and the board gave it until early January on that occasion. We'll see where we are over these next few games, really. But as I say, a lot of credit, probably all their credit, has been used up on this previous run. So, really, I don't see how many more of those type of first halves that people are going to stomach, because it's not acceptable. End of.
And we'll leave it there. Aston Villa and Huddersfield at Carrow Road next week. We'll wait and see what happens. Thanks, Pad.
Thanks, mate.